Welcome back to a new video, guys, and today we are going to do a bit of a buyer's guide to beta FPV. I've been asked quite a few times, which beta FPV for this, which beta FPV for that, is this better than this, is this better than this, when should I use this, when should I use that? So I figured I'll get all the ones out that I think are worth your time and consideration, and we'll go through each one of the use case scenarios for each one of these drones. So without further ado, let's freaking go. First up on the list then is going to be the Meteor, or Meteor 75 is probably the most common one that you guys know, and that's a 75mm whoop. There is an 04 version. I quite like the 04 version, but it does suffer from jello on quite a lot of the instances. So if you get one, just know that you're going to need somebody with a 3D printer, because the chances you are likely to get one that has jello. Not all of them have it, don't get me wrong, but it's something to bear in mind. And yeah, so I would recommend that really for more of the newbie style, more of the indoor style, or if you're wanting to step up from sort of the analog kit that you've got to something that's digital but still staying pretty small, pretty light, and relatively cheap as well. But just bear in mind, like I say, quite a few of them do have a little bit of jello, and yeah, it's just one of those things, I'm afraid. It's just the way it's designed. We've got a video of how to fix it, but you will need to know somebody with a 3D printer. Next up on that list then is the Aquila, and we viewed and reviewed and spoke about the Aquila 20 last week, and that is a brilliant kit for somebody who is brand new to the hobby. They don't know if they're going to like it, so they're not sure about how much money they should invest into the hobby, but they want to get something that's got everything that they can just pick up and go and fly without messing around. No tuning, no anything. It's literally just turn it on and fly it, and then that way you can find out where you are on your road and whether or not you want to continue upon that road. So if you're completely brand new to FPV, the Aquila 20 ready to fly kit is something that you're going to be wanting to look at. Now, the Cetus and Cetus X kit was what probably kickstarted this channel back last year, and I'm eternally grateful for Beta FPV for supporting us back then when nobody really knew who we were or what we was about. And the Cetus X kit back then was a great way into the hobby for newbies, but I do think it's been surpassed now by the Aquila. I think the Aquila is a more refined, much better version. If you can find the Cetus or Cetus X kit and you want to get into the hobby and you've not got anything and you can find it a lot cheaper than the Aquila, then that might be something that you'd want to consider. So next up on the list is the Pavo series and the Air series, and what I'm going to do for these two is I'm just actually going to switch and I'm going to show you the drones on the desk, because there's a few different ones of this series. So we'll start with the Air series first of all. We'll start first of all with the Air 65, and both of these are tiny whoops and both of them are absolutely brilliant. I think both of them are pretty much at the top of their respective games. There is going to be different scenarios where you want to use each one of these. Now, I fly most of my drones outdoors. It's just what I prefer, even a 65mm whoop. But if you're somebody who wants to fly indoors and you live in Europe, where we have generally smaller houses, whether you're in the UK, Germany, Holland, wherever, generally speaking, we have smaller houses and narrower in entryways, etc. You're going to want to consider a 65mm whoop, and one of the best on the market is the Air 65. So that's what I would consider as a buyer's guide at this point. In my opinion, that is what the real strengths of the Air 65 are. Indoor flying, you can go crazy, you can still do your tricks indoors because you've got the extra room, but it's still crazy fun and crazy powerful. Now, moving over to the Air 75, again, very, very similar, but just a little bit bigger. Obviously, you've got different specs of props and motors, etc., but the flight control and everything and the weight, etc., is all scalable and very, very comparable to the Air 65. This one would be more for indoors if you live in North America, where your houses are generally a lot bigger than the ones in Europe, or if you want to take it outside and stretch its legs. Again, either one of these will fly outdoors, as I've shown in the videos that I've made, but at the same time, if you want to get the right one for the right job and you're mainly going to be flying outdoors, you're going to want the extra pitch and the extra prop and the extra punch of the 75 against the 65. But ultimately, whichever one of these you pick, as long as you pick the right one for the right job, you're going to have an amazing fun time. They are absolutely brilliant. Okay, and finally then, for this buyer's guide series, we're going to look at the Pavo series. And again, you'll notice I called it the Pavo series because there are actually two drones that come under the Pavo name, and that's the Pavo Pico 2 and the Pavo 20 Pro Mark II. They're the most recent ones of the series of Pavos. And what you're going to want these for is going to be a little bit different. So the Pavo Pico 2 initially came out a few months ago and was the first sort of Pavo drone to offer either 04 Lite or 04 Pro connectivity. The Mark II of the Pavo 20 Pro now also offers that as well, so there's no consideration. So it then comes down to what you want to do with each one of these. The Pavo Pico 2 is smaller, it's lighter, it is strangely louder because of the higher pitch of those props and the fact that those motors do spin a little bit faster. However, it's not really a massive problem. It doesn't create or generate a lot of noise or a lot of problems. It's just a little bit noisier than the Pavo 20 Pro. But if you need something that's lighter, if you need something that you need to hit smaller gaps with for whatever reason, then the Pavo Pico 2 would be the one that you're going to want to consider on this buyer's guide. And then moving over to the Pavo 20 Pro. This is a little bit bigger, it's 2.2 inches. It also uses larger batteries. The Pavo Pico 2 uses 2S's and this uses 3S's. So again, sometimes the consideration as to what to buy can depend all upon what stash of batteries you've already got. I do get asked that question quite often when it comes to new drones that I review, and people say, well, I want to step up to this drone, but I've only got these batteries, will they work? You can fly it on a 2S, but you are going to essentially limit yourself to 67% of the throttle, of the full throttle, and you're also going to limit yourself to 67% of the endurance as well. As soon as you start hitting the punch outs, that's going to go down a lot quicker. So just bear that in mind. However, the Pavo 20 Pro has been at the very top of the 2.2 inch class for a very long time. It's been completely unmatched and unrivaled by anything at all until this year. And there's still a lot to argue for the Pavo 20 Pro for. The other thing is, it's also crazy cheap as well. It's just $105. So this is something that people quite often say, this is a great beginner drone. If you want to get into the hobby and you want to start using either the 04 Lite or the 04 Pro, but you want something that's got prop protection, that's got prop guards, it's got LEDs, it's quite nice, and it produces absolutely gorgeous footage, you might want to consider the Pavo 20 Pro. And that's something that I'd agree with. It really is a phenomenal beginner's drone. But again, it depends on how much money you want to put into the hobby at the very start as to which one of these you want to start with. You might want to start with a cheaper analog kit. You might want to go straight to the Pavo 20 Pro or the Pavo Pico 2. But that's an overview of all of the sort of main beta FPV drones that are currently out there. And I thought that it was really important. I've been asked for a video like this a few times, but I thought it was really important because we've got that Black Friday sale and we've got the code that's on screen now to explain which of these drones does what and why and when and what for, to help you guys really understand it better. So that's where we're at. If you've got any questions whatsoever, please do drop them in the comments down below. But until next time, peace out. YouTube and I have had a chat and we believe that this is the video that you'll like the most, so watch it and let me know if they're right.